Hi, Janelle here from Nellie Belly. I wanted to continue discussing how to speed up your site, your WordPress site, if it's running a bit slowly. Once again, before you decide to change your server, your hosting company, and go to a dedicated server or something larger than what you currently have, that's generally what your hosting company is going to tell you to do first. But before you listen to them do that, I want to make sure that you are taking every one of the steps that we've talked about and you're doing those first, because if you're not, your site could be much larger than necessary and you may not need to have a dedicated server. So we talked about WP Optimize, a plugin that allows you to clean up your memory and clean up your databases. We talked about resizing your photos. If that's something you have not been doing, you absolutely need to be doing that. Now we're going to talk about plugins today. Plugins are one of the best things in WordPress. They're the one of the fundamental parts of WordPress that makes it really great to use and really user-friendly, but it is also one of the parts that people don't understand can be detrimental as well. If you don't have a good grasp of how plugins work, you will probably be doing some things to your site to slow it down. You might be causing it to break a little bit. You might be causing it to load slowly. You might have Google not liking reading your site, those kinds of things. So we want to talk a little bit about plugins today. Number one is plugins and how many you use vary from site to site. It really does depend on how good the plugins are and how well built they are. If you're using really great plugins and they're well built, you can use a lot of them and it's okay. But if you're using lots of little plugins that aren't very well built, you're going to be doing damage to your site. We don't really like to see plugins over 20 if we can help it. You know, between 20 and 25 is about what we normally see. And as long as they're really good plugins and they're serving a great purpose, you know, that's fine. But we like to see you with as few plugins as possible so that you're running as smoothly as possible. We know where problems could be coming from and those kinds of things. So the first thing I want to talk to you today is about those plugins. So plugins are, of course, available to you under the Plugins tab in your dashboard. So we're going to click into Plugins. And I'm going to go over to my installed plugins and show you what we have. I have waited for quite some time on some things that I needed to do for maintenance so that I could create this video for you guys and you could see some of the things that we have going on. So you'll see this number up here is 26. That is way too many plugins for us to be running. However, a lot of these plugins we are running are purposeful. We have a good reason for them, and I'm also, you know, I do this for a living, so I know a little bit more about it. So there are things in here that, you know, I know how to run and I know where the problems might lie. But for you, this might be a little bit higher than you would want to have. The other thing I want you to pay attention to here is that we have a number of plugins that are requiring an update. And you can see this number here along the side of my plugins there. It showed 12. When you have plugins that need to be updated, you absolutely need to keep those updated. Always keep your plugins in your WordPress site updated. Not only does it make it run faster, it cuts down on your security problems. So we want you to be updating those plugins. And generally speaking, you can go into your dashboard, and right here in this update you can click into updates. If you aren't running a lot of plugins and you don't have a lot of updates to do, you can click on select all and you can update your plugins just like that. However, if you are someone who gets a little anxious and you're a little scared about those plugins and it makes you nervous, then go into your plugin setting area and update them one by one. So maybe today you'll update one and then tomorrow you'll update another one. So then if something goes wrong, you can email us and tell us exactly what happened. You know which plugin it was. You might get a code on your screen or something might happen and you're going to know exactly which plugin it was. Because if we did this, we just updated 16 plugins and we may not know which plugin it was that caused a problem. We will, because that's what we do for a living, but you might not. So that's something you can think about. Let's look over here at these updates again. What is it telling me? Let's go back in here, see. So if you wanted to upload these, if you wanted to update these one by one, you come in here and we're going to click on this one and we're going to click update now. And it's going to update the plugin and it's telling us it updated it successfully. So then when we return to the plugins page, You can leave it there and not do another one if you don't want to. And then you'll be able to see if there's a problem with it, you know, if something happens in there, and you'll notice. So now you can see that all of our plugins are activated, and they're all, no, they're not activated. All our plugins are updated. Now, there are plugins in here that we have that we are not using. Always delete the plugins that you are not using. If you don't know why it's there, and it's deactivated, you can ask the person who helped you with your site and built it for you. But if you put it in and you know you're not using it, delete it. It's a security problem for you to have those kinds of plugins in there that are not being used. And so always delete plugins that you aren't using. So we're going to delete out my plugins in here and get them off of here. And so we want you to be conscious of your plugins. We want you to keep this active number down. We want you to have this inactive number down as well. We want those ones that you're not using to be deleted out of there so that you are being safe and secure, but you're also keeping your website as clean and functional as possible. Do not use plugins just for fun. Be mindful of what they're doing for you, and make sure they're very, very well rated plugins that they have. And you know, if you've never done that before, and you go into your add new plugins, and you're going to add a new plugin, and you've never looked at this before, I'm going to show you what we're going to do. So let's just say we want to get an email subscribe button or something like that. So we put an email subscribe, and wow, there's this thing here. And we see that it has 5 stars. Always click on details. Don't click install now until you've looked at the details. And we can see here that this has 5 stars, but it only has 128 times it has been downloaded. So we don't want to use this plugin unless it was necessary, because it's not been solidly used. It's not something that it has been proven. So you know, we'll try something else. Here's another one. This one's 5 stars, and this one's got 4,900. We're getting a little bit better, but let's look at this last updated 10 months ago. And it's also giving us a warning that it hasn't been tested with our current version. Try to stay away from those. Some plugins that are really well rated and really popular still have that, and they'll probably be okay. But we want to make sure that this plugin is being taken care of, and so we want to see this 10 months ago be like, you know, a couple days ago or something like that. We want it to be pretty good. And we want to see this downloaded number to be pretty high as well. So be mindful of those things when you're using plugins. Watch out for that. Pay attention to that. Keep them updated at all times. Make sure that you're deleting them when you're not using them. And we're going to talk about updating your entire site to a new WordPress or to a new Genesis, and what you need to do with that, and how to do that with your plugins as well. So this is another way for you to get your site nice and clean. Watch those plugins. Be very careful and mindful of how you use them, and you will see your site performing far better.